Recording has started, guys. It's 9:02. We're going to kick this off. Welcome, everybody. We got 22 participants so far. Again, as mentioned, we're going to start out with a quick 5-minute or so Q&A with the OTO, who we're very happy to have on board for the beginning of this. Remember that the basic instructions for COVID policy, phase 2 rollout, the bubbles, etc., is on the d11s.org website. And hopefully you are all familiar with that, but we do want to open it up for a few clarification questions. I think I'll turn it over. Steve Fiorillo, you're on the call. I know you had one that we talked about yesterday. So if you want to kick it off, Steve, go for it.
Thank you, Chris. Steve Fiorillo. I'm the 6.8 FSO this year. So, sir, I have a question about the bubble themselves. So when the bubbles are first initiated, they're initiated for a certain purpose, either VE or crew or something. So what I'm running into is we're running into issues where we have these like these rental outlets, right? Yeah. For paddleboards, jet skis, everything else, where in the past we would just show up with a slew of people and get it done. So the question I have is, can we, even though we have a bubble put together for crew, right? Can we reutilize that same bubble? Don't add anybody in and out. But if all those crew members are certified VEs, can we use that for a VE bubble as well?
I'm sorry, I lost you at the end there. If you said where you said that your question was.
Oh, sorry. So the question was, if we have a bubble designated for crew, okay, not for VE. Yeah. We reutilize that same bubble for VEs, assuming everybody obviously is a certified VE.
Well, I would say that we have different policy for VE versus crew, where for crew you need bloodborne pathogens and VE you don't. So if your bubble, if everybody in it has bloodborne pathogens, then make sure that you notate that in your bubble request that this is for both crew and VE, and that kind of triggers us to look for all the qualifications needed, and we notate that in our bubble, in our spreadsheets, that this bubble, everybody has, the required training. It's authorized for both underway crew and bloodborne pathogens, as long as everybody in the crew has that training. So you can't have, let's say a 6-person bubble and 5 of them have bloodborne pathogens and 1 doesn't. We can't track, we do track who has it, but we can't just know off the top of our heads that this one person can't get underway. So everybody in the bubble has to meet. If the bubble wants to get underway, everybody in the bubble has to meet the everything that's required. But you can do that. Yes, you can utilize that.
Okay, that's great. So that makes sense. But what if but if the bubble is already established?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't have to. I mean, are you asking if you have to send another bubble request?
Yeah, basically, or re-up that one.
Well, we have the bubble request that is for updating only. So you could just put an updated one in there and just in the notes say where we want to make sure that this bubble can get underway as well. And then I'll see that, I'll take a look at that, and then I'll just answer off that one. So you don't really have to put all the members back in, as long as no one changes. As long as the only update is to make sure that you can get underway as well, then you don't have to complete the fill. It just make sure it's updated, and there's some notes in there that kind of explains it to me.
Perfect. Thank you.
No worries.
Okay. Next question? Somebody raise their hand or just speak, please.
Mr. Hooper.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Gary Hooper, 6'6".
Mm-hmm.
I was going off of Steve's question also, but if we're doing a rental, like I have rentals that have 21 or even 100 paddle boards and some kayak stuff like that, can we still do the same thing? I mean, I know it's 3 a day, but does the paddle boards and the kayaks going to be under the same as a vessel where we can only do 3 a day?
Yeah, it's that policy comes from from the headquarters. That's not something we created. That is
Okay.
that is the entire Coast Guard. There's like a whole planning order that has to be followed, and it has it's like a grid, and if you know if you meet this many contacts, you only can do this many minutes, and we're trying to do some work with, because we know we have a lot of auxiliaries that have that, where they'll go to one contact, and although you're only authorized 30 minutes with one contact, you know, they have 100 kayaks that they usually do. And, you know, maybe those kayaks only take 10 minutes each. So we're trying to work with auxiliaries where if the, you know, the contact is located outside on a beach and the owner's not even there, it's just you and, you know, any trainees that you might have, then if that happens, put it in your comments, and we sometimes, you know, make those exceptions where, like I said, it's not in a warehouse or in a store somewhere where you're gonna encounter, you know, not just the owner, but 25 other contacts in the store. If it's just like outside or something like that, then we usually consider that.
Okay, because most of my customers or clients, all their paddle boards and canoes are outside. And a lot of times the owner's not there. We just go in, we inspect them, and then we do our thing and get out of there.
Yeah, just notate it in your comments that and be detailed. Like, you know, it's 10 kayaks for you know this one owner, and it's outside, and it's just me and my trainee, and usually we consider that.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Excellent. Anybody else with a question for the OTL?
I have a question.
Yes, Leslie.
This is Leslie. Just wondering if you would clarify what the 21 days means to the bubble. We've had some people think that they can't do anything for 21 days. We've had some people think the bubble expires in 21 days. So if you'd clarify that, that'd be great. Thanks.
Sure. All right. So when she says 21 days, she's talking about the stable date. If you put in a bubble request, and when it's approved, I'll normally put in, I will always put in there even for an update, I will always put in there the stable date. And what that means is that we just want your bubble to be stable for 3 weeks, nobody coming in for 3 weeks. And really that's it. Like you could do, and as soon as your bubble's approved, you could do whatever you want. You could, as soon as it's approved. If this 3 weeks just means you can't have anybody come in your bubble. And that's just to make sure that just make sure it's stable, make sure that no one's sick, you know, things like that. So, because when you have a bubble, I don't want to get too involved if there's other questions, but a person can leave your bubble at any point in time. That they're not restricted; they can leave at any time. It's people coming in is where we have that policy that, you know, we need to be stable for 3 weeks. So if you have, let's say you have a bubble of 4 and it's been approved, and that's why we've been saying is on your initial bubble is important. Make sure you have everybody in there that you want, because you have to wait 3 weeks to add somebody else in there. So once that 3 weeks is up, and you know you want to add somebody in there, you can, but you can't add anybody in there if you drop somebody and they want to try to come back in. They can't come in for at least 3 weeks, because unless your bubble's already been stable. Your stable date doesn't change if someone drops out. That's a big one too. It doesn't change if someone drops out. You just have to worry about the 3 weeks when you're trying to bring somebody in. You have to be stable for 3 weeks when you're trying to bring somebody in. Is there any questions on that? It may sound confusing, but it's really not. When you think about the 3 weeks, just think about nobody coming in for 3 weeks. Once you hit a 3 week point, you know, then you can add somebody.
Okay, great. Any other questions for the OTL?
Yes, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. DuBois,
Yeah.
do bubbles, can they apply to people, a group trying to become crew qualified, they'll take a lot of the stuff, the book stuff online, but when it actually comes time to practice skills, if they form a bubble, say of 4 or 5 people, does that work or no?
Yes.
I've been asked.
Yes, we created bubbles for that specific reason, so that auxiliaries could work together.
Okay.
We went so long where auxiliaries couldn't train together. Our training programs were going down the tubes. So we created bubbles in order to not alleviate but minimize the COVID restrictions that we have. So where, without a bubble, you can't go. You can only go 30 minutes, with outside contact and things like that, where in a bubble, there's no limitation on how long you can stay around that person. Even the mask guidelines are not, again, alleviated, but they're less restrictive within bubbles. So that's why we created bubbles, so that you could, our members could get together with them up to 6 people and have a whole bubble of VEs, or 2 VEs and 4 trainees, so that those trainees could get back out in the field and train again. So that's why we created the bubbles. Yeah, you can use a bubble for anything where you would work on another auxiliaries, UPVs or VEs, crew, ATOM verification, anything really. If we're working with another auxiliarist, you should be in a bubble.
Now, once you have approved that bubble, does that bubble group have to submit an assignment to duty form to proceed with that training?
Yes, and it should be just one. If I have 6 people, I don't ever get 6 different assignment to duty requests.
Right. He froze up.
Why?
You froze up.
You froze for a second. You're back.
All right, can you hear me? Okay, so if we don't require an assignment to duty request from every single person in the bubble. That would just be we'd be getting 6 times, whatever. So what we ask is that the bubble owner, whoever is in charge of the bubble, is the one to submit the assignment to duty request, and in the comments, they need to list who is actually partaking in the training or the mission, so that we have that. I can double check that they're in the bubble, all those members, and then I'll answer back to the bubble owner, and then the bubble owner can go back and let everybody know that they're good to go.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Question.
Go ahead, Martin.
Mr. DuBois, does that mean that we can do the dockside crew training? A lot of us are REYR on that. And if we formed a bubble with, let's say, Ron Meany, Mealy, we could go ahead and do the dockside?
Absolutely. Yeah, like you could pretty much, as long as the bid is authorized by a phase 2, with anybody, a bubble up to 6 people.
I have a question on the assignment to duties. I think we were allowed to put in an ATD request for 1 week time frame. So in some of these examples, let's say for crew training, let's say you had a 2 or a 3 week time frame where you wanted to do multiple training. Would that require more than one ATD for the same duty if it's more than a week of duration?
Yeah, we're trying to limit going too far. Well, we're trying to limit to having so much time allotted for one bubble, and it's kind of hard for us to track. We talk about 12 straight days, and we'll just if you want to do one thing like 2 days, you're talking about if you want to get underway like 1 week, 2 days 1 week, and 2 days the next.
Something like that, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would say that I would rather have one assignment to duty per week. That way, that's not too much to handle for us, and it gives us a little bit better understanding of what's going on. And same, like, especially for underway, like I don't approve those assignment to duties for underway, I only recommend approval or denial to the sector OIA who approves or denies. So I think it'd be better for us to keep it simple with 1 week at a time versus multiple. That way it kind of keeps it easier for the OIA to figure out and basically track what's going on.
Roger that.
There's always exceptions to everything. If there's something that really needs to be looked at, that like you're talking about, that situation, then you just give us a call and we figure it out.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more hands? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. DuBois. Thanks very much for being here and answering those questions. It's just super helpful for us.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm sure you're gonna hit on all the how to's and this and that. And I would just say, I'm trying to think of a couple things off my head that went in the training PowerPoint. So we're all having issues trying to figure this out. I'm not sure if you're going over Chatter today, but Chatter's going to be a good feature for us to communicate with really anybody on AUXDATA, but specifically those that are involved in a facility inspection, either radio or BE, or surface facility. So we got to make sure, if we're not talking about that today, that we eventually get into that, because it's a good feature. Also, we're just inspections were never finished because of something that went wrong. We try to make sure we put those up so that when I send something to Shake, or whoever is in the approving line, they're not looking at 6 different facility inspections that for one vessel that are for the same year.
Right.
It's not. We're not talking about facility inspections from each year, but actually 4 or 5 from the same year. So we're gonna make sure we get rid of that. I'm just trying to think of some things off the top of my head that I see when I get a assignment to duty request, or I think I would say one thing is just trying to kind of pass along and we've been up for a few months, and there's just no bubbles. It's like 2 or 3 bubbles for people getting underway. So I would just pass the word down that we are getting underway. It takes a little bit more work to get underway, but we're definitely authorizing it, for sure. Let's see.
One other thing you mentioned talking about or emphasizing was filling out all the facility information when you establish a new facility. There is a question on after it reaches a certain step in the process, certainly approved, then the owner of the facility cannot go back in and edit it anymore.
That's correct.
So treat that very carefully when we're going to go through that. We're going to go through that the process, but you don't want to leave any fields blank. If you know the information, you're going to want to fill it all out. So we'll be covering that too.
The reason for that too, and make sure that people know what the reason for that is that if they don't fill out certain information like location, when like units like BSX try to do a search, they can't find all the information that they need. If they want to do a search for radio facilities or surface facilities from San Diego, and we haven't filled in that location box, then they can't find that vessel. So we have to make sure we're filling in the proper information. Also, I also wanted to just make sure that you guys knew, because it's kind of hard to explain, when I talk about hovering over that little I box that's right next to the box that gives you information to tell you what actual information needs to go in to that box, because we're putting wrong information in those boxes too, where it's, when it says location, they're putting truck. And where I get it, the location of the radio is in the truck, but the location is actually supposed to be the city and state of where the radio is kept. So just things like that, small things like that we have to just get used to. Leslie, can you think of any other things that we talk about assignment to duties in the office when we get them? Anything that comes up that's new?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well.
so Chris,
Yes.
yeah. So if, this is Tom. So if anybody has any other questions about their bubbles and they're getting underway before we go to the OTO, they can run it by me. And then if I can answer it right away, or if I have to get more information from the OTO, we can do it that way, so we don't keep
Yeah.
bombarding the OTO with questions that could be answered at a little lower level.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point, Tom. And that's why I started out the invitation for this session today with the DSO OP, which is Tom, DSO CM, which is Rick, and the DSO VE, which is Martin, because they should be the, filters before it gets to the OTO, the DIRAUX office. We want you guys to be the kind of the experts on this process. And then we'll filter it down through SOs, FSOs, and down to the deck plate. It is quite a learning process here, but that's the whole reason for this today. And the more people that understand the system, the more we can help everybody out. Okay. I think that's it now. 5 minutes turned into 25, but that's good.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. It's easy, actually better this way. And instead of trying to answer every individual person that sends something wrong with an assignment to duty or a bubble request. And the biggest thing is getting the word down. Like, we still have people going out. Just to mention facility inspections, because we're talking about VEs here too. The reason why we require a bubble to do a facility inspection, because a facility inspection takes longer than 30 minutes. At least it should. A facility inspection should take quite some time. So it's not your normal vessel exam where you actually have to go on the vessel and you have to put your hands on certain things, look in certain areas, make sure that the vessel is actually worthy of being a facility. So that's why we require that whoever's doing the facility inspection, that it's done within the bubble. It gives them the time restriction is gone at that point once you're in a bubble. So, and you have to make sure the owner is in that bubble too. So if you want to do a facility inspection, the VE and the owner have to be in the same bubble, because you have to go and do the owner's facility. So, and then that's nothing, because then if the owner needs to jump out after that, they jump out, or the VE needs to jump out after that, they jump out. And yeah, so I think that was too. I'm sure there was something else. I can't remember what there's so many different to do with AUXDATA. So
right.
All right.
Okay.
Well, questions on it?
You froze again a little
Thanks,
bit.
y'all. Have a good night.
Okay.
Or a good day, I should say. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
No problem.
Okay, guys, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let's see here. You should all see the PowerPoint come up, which at this point, I want to thank very much Mike Brody for his expertise in PowerPoint and helping me put this together. I think it's going to be really helpful for everybody. We started it starting with basically the first step in with a new offer for use, a new OPFAC, and we just picked boat is probably the most common. Okay, and so the way we're going to go through this is taking it step A to Z for a brand new boat, offering it for use, and of course that starts with an inspection, an OPFAC inspection. The procedures for radios are very, very similar, with some, obviously there's some differences, and I'm going to try and highlight the differences as we go through. Mike and I are going to put together a separate PowerPoint that'll be radio specific. All the examples will be radios in there, and it'll hit one of the probably the biggest differences when it gets into the HF side on radios. It can get a little confusing. So there is going to be a second presentation, but I wanted both CM and VEs on this call because the procedures are basically the same, and you can get this information out to your members right away based on this. Okay, so we decided to start, like I said, with an initial offer for use. If it's a re-inspection of an existing facility, then you're just basically going to start at slide 17, re-inspection of existing facility, and it's going to refer you back to basically where it picks off. And I'll talk about that as we go through it. Okay, so step one. I've already going through this morning, decided we're going to change this up a little bit, this PowerPoint up a little bit. In AUXDATA II, as anyone that's spent any time in here knows, there are multiple ways usually to get to the same place. In other words, different ways to skin the cat. When we started this, I said, okay, let's start with facility inspections, and then we'll go, okay, you're going to do a new facility inspection and ask you, is it going to be for an aircraft, a boat, or a radio? Okay, and then because it's a new facility, you'd go to new facility in the new facility inspection dialog box, and that starts that process. A better way to do it actually would be to go to facilities, and if you can see my mouse hovering here, hopefully you guys can. Right next to facility inspections on the home page is facilities, and you go facilities, you click on that, and then there's a new button in the upper right, where the new button almost always is on any of these screens, and it takes you right to the new facility page. Okay, so that is a better way to do it, but it really doesn't matter which way you start. Where you're going to end up after you click new facility in either screen is going to be this dialog box where you select a record type, either radio, aircraft, boat, PWC, paddlecraft, or a vehicle. Okay, in this case, we're going to click on boat and click next. And Mike put these screens side by side. This is basically one screen that you would scroll down to see the bottom. So this is the top half on the left, the bottom half on the right. Okay. And as you heard the OTO mention, it's very important that you fill in your vessel information, scroll down to reveal more fields. Very important to fill out all vessel information as applicable, okay, as he mentioned. So most of it's self-explanatory. What he mentioned about the little I, and this is, you'll see this throughout the AUXDATA II. If you see a little I, the I stands for information. And when you hover your mouse over the I in the actual application, a dialog box, an information box is going to pop up. So it's very useful on a screen like this to figure out exactly what they're asking for. Like format, for example, over here on the right, you can see the format for latitude, degrees, and minutes and bearing. It'll tell you that with a little I button. So do the best you can on that. You're going to fill it all out and choose from the menu all waters or as applicable, and then click save. Okay, so again, this is for a brand new facility, whether it be a boat or any of the other types. Radio would be the same, obviously different information, but this is the way you start it out. Okay, the next step in the process to get your new offer for use, your new OPFAC approved, is a new facility inspection. Okay, this is where it's going to pick up where if it was a reinspection, this would be step 1 instead of step 6. All right. Because we did it from that facility page, it's going to automatically populate your facility and gives you this new number. This number, if it's a new OFU, is brand new, generated in the system, brand new. New facility number assigned. Make note of it for easy recall. I'll mention at this point, most of you should be familiar with the global search box in the upper right of any screen in AUXDATA II. It's the one with the magnifying glass and it says search. That's the global one on the top, not the search this list one right below it. Okay.
Chris, I had someone contact me. He's still in a waiting room to get in. His name is Mike Fry.
Okay, let me see. Thank you for that.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No, I'm glad you did. Okay, he should be in. Two guys are in. Okay. Talking about the global search, it's useful to write down this new number because that's going to be your facility record number forever. But once your facility is approved and in the system, you can also search on the facility name, like the name of the boat in this case, or you can search by the registration, whether it's a CF number or a COD, a Coast Guard documentation number. There's, again, multiple ways to get to the same record. Okay, the red asterisk fields are required, obviously. Requested inspection date is next. Now, usually you're going to call up a vessel examiner, your VE, and say, hey, Joe, can you do it on such and such a day? And that'll accomplish two tasks in filling out this form. Is you're going to know when the requested inspection date is. You've already basically agreed on it, and you're going to know who the vessel examiner is. Now, this is very important. It'll let you put anyone in this field in the system. It's not going to even check that they're a VE. At least it hasn't in the past. Maybe that'll be a future enhancement. But you want to make sure that the inspection date is in the ballpark, and most importantly, that the vessel examiner is who you've decided is going to inspect your facility for you. It's a multi-step process with logins. Okay, not just filling out one form. The owner can't do it all. The vessel examiner can't do it all, and certainly the OTO and DIRAUX can't do it. It's got to initiate the initial request for a new inspection, whether it's a new facility or a reinspection, has to come from the owner of the facility's account, because they're the only ones that are going to be able to move the status by clicking submit for approval from new, where you see the status is right here, and it'll change once the owner clicks submit for approval to under inspection. Okay. Otherwise, it'll be stuck in new status forever. And depending on how people have their screens filtered, it may not even get noticed. And you're wondering why a month or 2 months have gone by and nothing's happened. It's because it's stuck either in new, or we'll talk about that next, it's stuck in under inspection. The goal here is to get it to DIRAUX review. We'll talk about that.
Chris, question.
Go ahead.
Where is the button to change from the status button to change it from new to under inspection?
I'll show you. That's next. Inspection date, we're going to leave blank here because we don't. This is filled out after the actual inspection is done. DIRAUX, this field is very important, and it's confusing. You think, oh, is it Commander Keenan? Is it D11 South? Is it Leslie Pelosi, or is it the OTO? And the answer is it's the OTO. So for now, while we have our current OTO, Robert F. DeVoy, that is the exact name you're going to start typing in here. Once you get Robert space F space, it's going to come up and you'll be able to just click on Robert F. DeVoy. But that's critical. Otherwise, it's going to, if you put Leslie in there, it's just going to get stuck and the OTO can't approve it. Okay. Critical step. Yes.
One thing about the requested inspection date, remember that you need a assignment to duty before you get into this thing. So that requested inspection date would be what, 10 days or a week, you know, after you get your assignment.
Yes.
To duty.
Yes. Thanks, Mike. This whole presentation, now that we're getting into the nitty gritty of how to do it, the technical aspects in AUXDATA II, it all is, you know, the prerequisite, of course. It all assumes that you have a bubble, as the OTO mentioned, for a facility inspection. You need a bubble because it's going to be more than 30 minutes. And that you've gone the next step, which is have an assignment to duty request in. So you've got to start thinking about this more than a few days before your OPFAC is up for reinspection. That's the bottom line. Good point, Mike, and thank you. Okay. Next step is going to be, this is showing what I just talked about. You're going to fill in the requested inspection date. You're going to fill in. You see Chris OPFAC Mather here. This is all done in the sandbox or a test environment, so we weren't messing with actual records. And they set me up with literally 5 different sandbox accounts, and this one is my VE one. I don't know why they named it that, but that's what it is, just so that you don't get confused. Also, where you see here Chris DIRAUX Community Mather, that's I'm assuming the role of the OTO in the sandbox so that I can approve these things. This will be Robert F. DeVoy. Okay, I hope that's clear. And in the notes over here on the right, it says that. Okay, now to Alex's question. Once you, and now this is still on the owner's login. We're not at the vessel examiner's login yet. We're still on the owner's side. He's filled out his facility information if it's a new facility. He's filled out the facility inspection request, which is what this is, requested inspection. He's got all the information in there, and then he will have, and only he or she will have, the submit for approval button on the upper right. If somebody else goes into this FI 23464 record, they're not going to see that button. So it's going to stay at status new. Okay. This critical part of it and commonly missed. Okay. Click submit for approval outlined in red. Note, clicking submit for approval sends an email request to the selected vessel examiner and changes status from new to under inspection. These two things happen automatically. Whoever is named here as vessel examiner, it's assigned to them, and they're going to get an email from the system, and it's going to automatically change the status from new to under inspection. You don't edit it here. It all has to happen via these buttons. Any questions on that before I move? Well, I'll go back before I move on.
Yes, I have a question. It seems like the time elapsed from new to submit for approval is only the time it takes to populate these fields. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct.
So we're talking about 2 minutes.
Yes. And although it's turned into 2 months in a lot of cases because people don't see this.
Yes, don't I know?
They either don't see it or they don't notice it, or if it's the VE that's in here filling this out, he's never going to see that because he won't have it on his screen.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's the most important thing you can get out of this is it takes multiple logins. The owner has to start out the process. It's the way it's set up. Nothing we can do about it. And then it's going to go to the vessel examiner in this case. Okay. When you click submit for approval, this dialog box is going to come up. You do not have to put any comments in here, but this would be a suggestion of some that you might have, like alternate inspection dates, for example. Okay. Whatever you'd like. Or nothing, and then you click submit, and now we're pointing out to you what changed. And yes, it could be 2 minutes or 2 months. Status under inspection, and you're going to start seeing some line items here under approval history. We have two. It started out with the submitted, which was the approval request was submitted by the owner, and now we have a vessel examiner pending, meaning he or she has not done the actual inspection yet. And it's assigned to them, whoever that is, okay? That's what you wanna see. All right, now, vessel examiner step one. Now the owner's offline. The vessel examiner, he or she has to go in via their account, log in, and from the home page, there are, again, multiple ways to go to this actual inspection. In the email that you'll get from the system, probably the quickest and easiest way to get there is by using the FI number that comes in the email. Okay, you can search for the facility. You can look under the owner's name multiple ways, but if you use this global search, which I was talking about earlier on the upper right, type in the facility inspection, boom, it's going to come right up, and it's going to take you to exactly the same page that the owner saw, but with two critical differences. One, you're able to edit the inspection date to the actual date, okay? So, and that's the first step, fill in actual inspection date. And two, you're gonna upload now. Uploading required documents, Sheikh may talk about this a little later if you know, to fill you in, but basically the way it's always been is the same now. They wanna see the 70, in the case of a boat, it's a 7003 form. The one thing that's changed is we're not just filling out the 703, vessel examiner signing it, and then mailing it off to the DIRAUX office. Now it's all done online. However, we're still using that 7003 form for a boat, 7004 if it's a radio, 708 if it's a PWC. We're still using that form as a checklist, and you know, on page 2 is all the check marks of the actual inspection. So it's still a critical document that's going to be scanned or photographed and uploaded as a critical part of the files here. Super easy in AUXDATA II to add files. You can literally drag and drop from your computer, just boom, drop them in, or you can click add files and choose. You guys will, I'm sure, familiar with how to do that. The files that we want for any of these facilities, whether it be a new or a reinspection, is going to be the appropriate form, 703, 4, or 8. It's going to be pictures. I believe, Shay, correct me if I'm wrong, you want to see bow, stern, port, and starboard. So 4 photos of a boat?
Okay.
Yes, it stays the same as we used to do.
Great. And then finally, a DMV registration if it's a CF or an AZ, NB, or a COD, a certificate of documentation if it's a Coast Guard documented boat. So those
Chris?
you should have at least 6 files in there.
Hey,
Chris,
Chris,
Mike.
Go ahead.
in case it's not obvious, the easiest way to, to get those registration and the 703 and everything onto your computer is just use your phone, take a picture of it, as opposed to having something to scan it with. Just use your phone, take a picture, you get an automatic JPEG, and then you can upload it on into this system.
Yes, that's true. Scanners work great, photos work great. In fact, with the Salesforce or AUXDATA II mobile app on your phone, you can actually real-time upload the photos to a facility inspection right from your phone.
Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to verify that people double check their photos and double check their lighting. Sometimes if it's in a dark room, you can't really see the photo. So once you upload it, double check it, make sure it's readable, legible before you quit and move on. Sometimes I've seen some dark, either photos or dark paperwork. And I wanted to add too, this would be just like you'd be sent it to DIRAUX, meaning if you have articles of incorporation, or if it's a boat that's owned by multiple people, all the other paperwork that goes with it all gets uploaded also.
Perfect. Okay, so once all the files are on here, and this, the example we're using right now is this is the vessel examiner filling out the inspection date and uploading the files. There's no reason why the owner can't upload the files too, okay? It doesn't really matter who uploads the files. What does matter, what's critical, is that on the vessel examiner's login in this facility inspection, he's going to see he or she approve or reject. No one else will. DIRAUX won't, I won't, the owner won't. Only the assigned vessel examiner, assigned to, whoever's name is there is going to see approve and reject, okay?
Chris, I have a comment on that, please.
Yes.
Just for my knowledge, and maybe you don't know this, but is there a way, or is there any way that or as when you're looking at this, for me, when I go into approval mode, where those uploaded files are? Meaning sometimes they're not on the front. When you open up this facility, you have to go through each one of those approved histories to find out where those uploaded photos have populated. It does add time. I was just wondering if there's a shortcut or anything like that.
That's a good question. And the way that we're demonstrating it here, we are putting the files into the facility inspection record. This is also another commonly confused item in the system is people confuse the F number. You probably can't see this, maybe you can. The facility number is F-23772. That's a separate record from the facility inspection record, which we're looking at here, 23464. 2 different records. What we're demonstrating here is the vessel examiner or the owner is uploading the files to the facility inspection record. They are not going to they're not going to automatically migrate into the facility record. They won't. So somebody, whether it be the owner or the vessel examiner or Shake, has to manually cut and paste them, basically drag and drop them from the facility inspection into the facility. And I'm assuming that's what you want, Shake, because you don't want to have to dig in. Let's say an OPFAC has, 8 years history and they have 7 or 8 facility inspections. You don't want to have to go back and find the right facility inspection to find their current registration, for example.
Correct. And yeah, we just want to go on the first screen you pop into the F number, and it will see uploaded files like what on your step 3, it shows no files in this particular one. So now I got to go search to make sure the files are in there, because the file's not in there, it can't be pushed up the line to get approved, and then we go backwards in chattering to the owner
Okay. What I'll do as part of the notes of this, and in fact, we'll add this to the presentation, to the PowerPoint, is that you're not done until you've moved the files from the facility inspection or copied them. I shouldn't say move, you've copied them onto the actual facility record itself. And then Shake, from your end, if it's not done, then rather than you digging, you can just let the owner know or the vessel examiner know, hey, can you please copy the files into the facility record?
I have a question.
And hold on, what I want to try to let people know that 99% of this information data collecting is on the owner and the vessel examiner. It shouldn't try to automatically go to anybody at DIRAUX. Yes, there'll be times I'll have to go in and help out, or just to make it simple to help out. That's part of my job, but it shouldn't go to the DIRAUX as the OTO or Leslie to finish up. Everything's got to be done on your end.
Right. Okay.
Question?
So, go ahead, whoever.
Is there, when we click on that, is that an upload site where it will tell us to upload the documents to that site on the form?
Yeah.
Well, no. What this files, and it says either upload or drop files or add files. That's just simply how you add it to this record. So you're going to take the files from your computer or your phone and move them into this files.
Okay, well, that was my question. Yeah. So
okay,
we click on that and then we can upload to that point.
Correct. Okay. Two different ways. Add files, you're going to go choose them out of whatever directory or folder is on your computer, or upload by just dropping them. It's really easy once you've done it at once. Okay.
Then once they are uploaded, anytime you come to this file, you'll see them listed there in that box.
Yes.
The files that have been uploaded.
And to pick up what Shake was saying about legibility, especially the photographs, etc., is double click on each of the files after you've uploaded them to see how they're going to come up and be viewed by somebody else. Okay. Make sure they're not upside down, make sure they're not too dark, etc. Make sure they're legible. That works fine. Okay. Final step, click approve or reject. This is what the OTO and Shake wanted me to emphasize. Ensure all required documents and info are uploaded and complete before clicking approve. At this point, again, remember the owner, the OPFAC owner, clicked submit for approval, basically requesting the inspection. This is not the facility being improved. They could have worded this better. Okay, this approved does not approve the facility. It doesn't even really approve the facility inspection. What it does is say the vessel examiner, in this case, approves the inspection from his or her point of view. Okay, not to be confused with the ultimate final approval. So anyway, they click approve, let's just say, and now the big thing to check is that the status has changed to DIRAUX review. All right,
hey, Chris.
Yes.
Leslie's trying to chime in.
Leslie, go for it.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody's clear that every year, we're talking boats now, every year we need new photographs, we need the new registration, we need new everything every year. We're not going to go back and look four years back for photos.
Perfect. Perfect. We got to make sure you're not one of the. Yes, got to make sure you're not one of the 8 boats in Dana Point that burnt up the other day. I don't know if you heard about that. Not funny. Small boats, but I guess one blew up and then a bunch adjacent caught fire. Luckily, nobody hurt as far as I know. Okay, so after clicking approve, VE check status field has changed to DIRAUX review. That is critical. I can't emphasize that enough. If it does not say DIRAUX review, then the OTO is never going to see it. It's that simple. It'll stay there forever, under inspection forever. Okay. Now, we talked about it in the beginning, reinspection of an existing facility, step 1. The best way to get to an existing facility, especially as the owner, is to go to your own member page. Okay, go to your own member page where you see all your contact information, etc., and then go to the related tab. And down in the related tab, one of the boxes is facilities. Your facilities, assuming you have one. For a reinspection, you do, obviously. And that you can just click on the record number there, and it'll take you right to this screen. This is an actual facility screen with an F number. We're not looking at an FI number. Okay, you'll hear me say this back and forth because, again, they get confused. It's confusing. F dash, this is the actual record number. There's the registration. This is my actual facility, and the facility name, etc. All the different information for that. Since this is a reinspection, it says when the last reinspection date was, in this case, January 29th, 2020, and then a year plus, I believe it's 45 days, right, Jake?
Mhm.
Were you supposed to be sharing the screen?
We see it.
Yeah, the screen is being shared, whoever that is asking.
This is Jim. I just see you on video.
You're gonna have to play around with your Zoom because I think everyone else is seeing it. Should be.
Yeah, it's very clear. Real quick, long as I got your attention, Chris, is on DIRAUX review, or at what point does the owner and vessel examiner cannot edit anymore? Is that after it's clicked and says DIRAUX review, so they can't fix anything they might have forgot, or where is that?
I don't know. I'll do some testing in Sandbox and try and figure that out. I know once it's approved, it's locked out.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is at some point, I can't ask the owner to fix it because they can't fix it. I just want to know where that line is.
Right. They may not be able to fix specific information on the record, but they certainly can change files, I believe, still.
Yeah, they could probably upload an ad, but
yeah,
remember we were talking about, I somehow had the ability to go in there and if they put the wrong unit number in, I could fix it for them once they can't. And I just don't know where that line of separation.
I'll get that answer to you, Shake. Okay.
Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Gary Hooper.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, this is for Shake. So if we do that and there's something wrong, do we kick it back? You'll kick it back to us, so then maybe we can make the edit, or?
Yes, sir. What I try to do, and we're want to let everybody know, we're still developing SOPs with me and the OTO of how to do this correctly and without pissing people off. But yes, I'll go on to Chatter and I'll go see, please, either the vessel examiner or the owner, please fix your engines on this boat. Please add your engines. And that will automatically email kick back to you via Chatter saying exactly what I said. And hopefully you at that point are able to edit.
Okay, great. Because that's what, like regular forums where we can go in and edit, but we have to go in open and then go back to pre-approve. For approval.
You mean in that is a Chris?
Yeah.
No, I don't think the approval part. You should just go in and edit.
Right.
And you just hover over it like he was doing. It pops up and that little pencil, and then you could change from availability from all or whatever it is to InnoCoast or whatever, and then click save, and that should just save the whole thing without having to click any approval or moving it up and down the line. That should fix it. But what I was talking about, there's some point when the owner and vessel examiner cannot, and
yes,
that may be at approval from the OTO, or that may be earlier, but Chris is going to find that out.
Yeah, right, I will. And this is a good point, good point in time to point out Chatter to you guys. A lot of you may not be familiar with Chatter. You can see it on my screen that I'm sharing here, and the facility record. We're looking at the details that's underlined with light blue, and right next to that, the adjacent tab is called Chatter. Chatter is basically a way to communicate within the system. It'll send actual emails to the email on record for whoever you chatter to, and it's specific to a record. So, for example, when we chatter about Raider here, when you click the link in your email, it's going to take you right to this chatter box, and you know the record will be up. So it is a good way to communicate about specific records anywhere in Salesforce. A lot of places have Chatter. You have to start it out with, it's a little awkward with the @ symbol and then the person's name as it's listed in AUXDATA II. I'm not going to go
Excuse
into
me, Chris.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to let you know, I need to go to my national meeting right now.
Okay.
And I will give you a call later, if that's okay.
Very good, Rick. Have a good meeting. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
attending.
Thank you.
All right. So chatter actually started with the radio facilities. Rick, who just left, DSOCM, has been reviewing. He gets a notification from Shaker, the OTO, that a certain radio facility is ready to be looked at. And he goes in there, and when he signs off on it, instead of physically having to have the form and sign it and mail it in or scan it in, he's able to approve it, basically, his part of it, via chatter. So that's been working with radios, and I believe the OTO kind of wants to do a similar thing with chatter, and as far as boats are concerned. Although, you know, once the VE signs off on it, it doesn't go to the DSO VE like a radio facility does, but it's still going to be an excellent way to communicate about different items specific to that record.
Hey, Chris, can I mention something that I just want everybody to know that I do not approve or have the ability to approve in AUXDATA, but what the OTO is doing at this point to try to streamline his work so he doesn't get caught up, he sends me a chatter, said, hey, Shake, approve A, B, C, or D unit. I will go in, look at it like I used to do in DIRAUX, double check everything, make sure it's good to best of my ability, that all the forms and pictures are good. And then I send him a chatter saying, good to go, please approve, and then he'll approve it. That's kind of like how our SOP is going at this moment. Things could change, but that's what we do on all facilities.
Very good. This is the slide showing how you would re-inspect again. You're going to start with a new inspection boat. And when you start from a facility record and you go new inspection, it's going to automatically populate it for you. So you won't be typing in some name here. You won't be, obviously you should not go to new facility in this case, of course, because it's a re-inspection, and it's automatically populated for you. Then the rest is exactly the same. Requested inspection date, vessel examiner, and DIRAUX, Robert F. DeVoy, until he moves on. Okay. Review and update.
One more thing, Chris,
Yes.
Sorry to bother you. At some point, it's usually at DIRAUX review, when it's a brand new facility, I will go in and add its either NM number, NF number, or call sign. That's when it will get populated in there. And also at that point is where I'm going to, if it's a radio, add either the unit number mobile 123 or fixed. At those times, those names get put in there. And there's a way to do that the OTO wants. And sometimes people ask for certain names, but it's got to go the SOP the way it's always been, the unit number or as mobile, or the unit area where the person lives. So that gets populated at that time.
Yeah, I hope that's clear to everybody that there are certain things on the facility form for a new facility in particular that you can't fill out, and that's call signs. And with radios, it gets even more complicated. And there are 2 more steps, which I might as well talk about right now. With a VHF radio facility, it's very similar to a boat as far as the process is concerned. There aren't any extra steps. When the OTO approves a facility, whether it be a boat or a VHF radio, from DIRAUX review, it goes directly to approved. When the OTO approves an HF radio facility, it doesn't go to approved, it goes to the DVC RTI. Let me look at, make sure I'm getting the wording right on here. There's 2 different levels of approval for an HF radio, okay? And this will be in the notes that we put out later, but it's a branch chief and a division chief, basically, that it has to go to. They are the ones that ultimately approve an HF facility and assign the HF call sign. Okay, just FYI for any of you comms guys that are on here.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Something we didn't think about when we were laying this out, because you can't make changes after this thing has been approved. When you come to this particular page, what we're seeing is only the top half of the page. This is your vessel that you're re-inspecting this year. If you have changed your location or something, you'd have to go in and change the GPS location or something like that, or something has changed on the boat. Your engine changed or something like that, you'd have to edit that before you.
Yes. So let's say it's not even part of an inspection. Let's just go back to a basic facility.
Oops.
I lost my screen. Let me get it back quickly. Okay. What I want to say is, when you're at a straight facility page, boom, here. So this is what Mike was talking about.
Yeah.
We haven't clicked new yet, but it's an operational facility. Obviously, it's been approved before. Okay. You can't. You're absolutely right. You cannot go in yourself and edit this information. And this is no different really than the way it was before with Legacy. In fact, you didn't even see what AUXDATA had for you as a regular OPFAC owner. Okay. The only way you were able to make changes, let's say you put a new engine on or a new radio or anything, new location, was to submit a 703 in this case with a change versus a new or re-inspection. Shake, is that's correct, right? So
Yeah.
you'll basically have to do the same thing. You could use Chatter, would be a great way to do it, and go to your facility record, go to Chatter, do @William Shakespeare, and put it, hey, I need to change the engine, or I need to change location, whatever it is. And then Shake will be that one that makes the actual change in AUXDATA II.
I guess that's the SOP as of now, until things change down there, if things change down there.
Question.
Okay. Yes.
Chris, so I have a facility, which is a vehicle, and I have to, it needs an inspection every year. So can I do my own inspection and approve it? And then send it in to OTO?
I don't know the answer to that. Shake, do you?
What we used to do in the past is you inspected your own on that form and sent it in, and then we just assigned a at random vessel examiner to make AUXDATA work. I would assume, I would have to ask Leslie, I don't know if she's still on, if that's how the new system will allow it. But that's the way we used to do it. You didn't have to actually have a inspector. We just always picked on Charlie Geiger. He was the inspector for all vehicles.
Okay.
That's for
Leslie.
For vehicles only. I'm gonna try it for my own truck here in a little bit, in the next couple days. Hopefully it'll still work that way. We'll find out.
Okay.
But you do need to upload photos, just like with any other, just like with a boat. We need 4 photos of the vehicle.
Yeah. As of now, I'd submit it. I'd do it on your own, and if it clicks through, fine. If not, we'll pick on Charlie Geiger again.
Okay. All right, that's the end of the formal presentation, guys. We got a lot of expertise on here to ask and answer questions before we wrap it up.
So you're going to send us a copy of the presentation, Chris?
Yes, Steve's going to provide me with an attendance sheet, and basically we're going to smooth it up a little. Mike and I are going to make a few changes, and then the PPT will be available. In fact, I'd like to put it on the district website once it's final. And we'll also have a recording of this video, and we may put that on there too. And then TBA will be a radio specific presentation as well.
That's super, because when we get questions, we can put this presentation up and go over it with the person that's asking the question. That really simplified things. Thank you.
You bet.
Also, if you just email on chat here on your Zoom, your member number and name, that becomes part of the recorded record also as a roster.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
I have one question. This is Emil Schultz.
Yes.
Do we need to put our time for this training in, or are you going to use the roster and you all will be putting our time in?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would like anyone that was on this call, use 99 Delta, 99D, and submit however much time you are on this call as training time. Okay, and then I'm going to submit myself as a 06 instructor. So that's the way we'll do that. We're not going to do some ginormous worksheet form for this. So yeah, make your 99D entries. It'll be good practice on entering time in AUXDATA II.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate to everyone that everything's in development mode for DIRAUX, how we're doing this. We're trying our best. I'm sure we'll make some mistakes, or I'll chatter you and you go, wait a minute, it's already been fixed. So just be patient with us. We're trying to figure how the OTO, and then in the future, the new TO will want to do all this stuff through DIRAUX.